Absolute Batman number 2, Batman AF. They got it in there. I can feel some of you cringing and some of you cheering. How does the second issue hold up when compared to the first? There was so much hype around the first one that I want to talk about the second one too, which has a lot going on and very much commits to the tone of the first issue. It even ups the extra factor in places. While a man got his hand cut off in issue 1, parts of issue 2 could be said to go harder. So if one wasn't fully on board with issue 1, it remains to be seen if this will sway them. So with all that said, let's look at The Zoo Part 2. And because we're so close to time of release, spoilers. I'm Sasha, this is Casually Comics, and am I all in? Maybe. Absolute Batman number 2 is written by Scott Snyder with art by Nick Dragotta and colors by Frank Martin. The cover, while fun, is a bit of a misdirect as to what the issue is actually about. It's not up to Silver Age level or anything like that, but this issue is not about Alfred and Batman fighting, despite Bruce shooting Alfred in the face with batarangs and stealing his bike last issue. What this issue does is expand upon several threads that were laid in the first, while also leaving even more seeds about where certain things are going to end up or what organizations could be seen and how they might be a little bit different. Arc M, Red Hood, those kind of things. There are also tons vis-a-vis Batman's friends, who in this universe are characters who, for those who are familiar with his lore, are usually members of his rogues gallery. In issue number 1, Batman was shown to have a different origin. The death that traumatized him occurred as a mass shooting at the zoo where he was on a school trip, and instead of losing both parents, he lost one, his father. One nice detail was that during all the chaos, the place where Bruce was pushed alongside several other students, his father was a teacher, was inside the Bat Sanctuary, or rather the Bat Enclosure. And issue 2 expands upon that moment, and it's fairly intense. Dad, please, open the door. Dad? Huh? Bat sounds. The colors here work so nicely to add to the layering. Red is a symbol of danger, but also power. Just as in this moment, the bats are things to fear, but are also in a way giving safety, if not necessarily comfort. And in a more overt homage to the bat flying through original universe Bruce Wayne's window, these bats break through the window of the enclosure and envelop him. It's a really eerie title page cover, even more so if you're terrified of rabies. Bats, no, thank you. In the present of the story, weeks have been passing. Batman is still tracking down Black Mask's gang, the party animals. And all the while, Alfred has continued to observe him and also in some ways protect him. He finds himself intrigued by and amused by this Batman, and so he's there to give the audience the exposition as to what exactly Batman's doing and some of his methods and the like. It's meant to be a more organic way for certain information to be conveyed about Bruce. Miles will vary as to whether that lands, or rather some moments feel too much like they're telling rather than showing for some. A fighter who knows the terrain takes advantage. Ha, wow, you got us wet. Are they on drugs? Is the helmet doing a drug thing? Like when he employs a chemically concentrated version of vinegar to turn the salt water into hydraulic acid. Absolute Batman will maim you. You're not going to die, but you're probably not going to come out okay. This is one of those moments that might be too much for some. Please, it burns. Toes are gone. Alfred's laughing. What a maniac. Now, despite being so heavily influenced by The Dark Knight Returns, there are some elements that could in ways be viewed as Silver Age. It's just the fact that they're coming into a work with this overall tone changes the way that they can be perceived or the way that they feel. But that energy is there, but at points, because of everything else going on, it may feel jarring to some, while others may find it endearing. It adds a bit of a childlike energy to the proceedings, like when the map pulls out to show all of Batman's safe houses and they're in the shape of a bat. Things like that harken back to all of the different types of batarangs that Batman used to have, or how he used to have a different colored costume just in case, or moments like bat shark repellent. The first issue did say he was indeed batty, but this is one of those moments where depending upon whether or not one can embrace it or enjoys it, it could determine where this work lands for them. Whether or not they feel this work should be more serious throughout, whereas others may feel that it's embracing that kind of classic comic book energy and that's what they're enjoying. This panel of him blowing up the building in his own shape, it has some echoes of The Dark Knight, the poster with the bat symbol on the building, and they also snuck in a Batman AF from Alfred, a cheeky play on Batman advancing forward, which was part of the energy that the creative team wanted to convey.
They were like, what do you want to call it? You know, and I was just like, I don't know, I want to call it something that sounds like Batman. And they were just like, you can't call it that. And I was like, Batman is. And Jason was there, he was awesome. He was like, let's do AF. And I was like, AF? Like, you know, and they were, you saw legal, like, you know, legal, like, frames their face. And it's like, Come on, let's have some fun. Let's do it. Why not?
And again, for some, this may land as intended. For others, it may be too silly. Absolute cringe. That was a comment I saw in one of the posts I made. The idea of why should readers take it seriously if they feel it isn't taking itself seriously? So where are you landing? Moving away from Alfred stalking Bruce, a lot of the rest of the issue is spent building out some of the other aspects that were shown in the first issue, such as many of the supporting characters. We get to see things like the growing swell of public support for Batman, Mayor Gordon's convalescence, as well as some tattoos that showcase some of his backstory. This sequence also allows a chance for the book to showcase some of the different members of the police force's feelings towards Batman, and it also gives more insight into Martha, who comes to visit Gordon. Bruce's mom being alive is one of the bigger changes from issue 1, and it has the potential to shift things. It's an interesting angle. While there have been other outings historically that have highlighted her, typically the focus is more on Bruce and his father and the impact that that relationship had on him. In the earliest Golden Age adventures, Martha wasn't even named. It's in 1948 where she gets to be named in conjunction with his traumatic origin. And then on the murder file, she's not even placed on the front, although in all fairness in that version it was because she died of a heart attack after he was shot. But I still think that counts as some kind of manslaughter. She should be on the cover, Bruce. So it'll be interesting to see what is done with her in this. You almost sound like Thomas. Don't I know it? God, I miss him, Jimmy. It's funny. I actually think he would have liked Batman. She's smoking in the hospital. What a rebel. I jest, but that does actually show a disregard for the establishment and their rules that could be something that trickles down to Bruce as a character trait. We do get to see some flashbacks for her that she's been having a hard time connecting with Bruce since his father's death, which is something he partially blames himself for. There's a lot of complexities there because he won the class trip that they went on. He's also shown in this issue visiting Joe Chill, so there are many things there to mine, potentially. Now he does actually hang out with his friends in this one. The poker game Waylon Jones Not Killer Croc Yet mentioned in issue 1. And this scene does have some Almost Got Him energy. Almost Got Him was an episode from Batman TAS, the Batman animated series from the 90s, wherein the villains are all sitting together having a poker game exchanging stories about times they almost got Batman, not knowing that Batman is actually there amongst them in disguise. So there's some shades of that here in this scene. This sequence also does a lot of tongue-in-cheek references, many even bolded in the dialogue boxes that hint at future origins for the characters. Or rather future outcomes perhaps, such as Harvey Dent becoming Two-Face. Ozzy's laugh is very Penguin-esque, you can see how it's written out. The Riddler is wearing a question mark necklace, which I kind of want. For some, this will be cute and exciting. For others, perhaps too on the nose. Or some may wish that some of these characters have different trajectories. Maybe not all of them have to turn to villainy, really change things up. What this scene does do quite well is make each of the characters feel distinct, and also like they do hang out. They have different speech patterns, so it's not like one of those moments where you're reading and any character could be saying anything. One element that's interesting here is that it highlights Bruce's more manipulative nature. He didn't just come to hang out, he also brought some of the party animals' tech and was fishing for information. He's showing that same level of ruthless dedication as mainline Batman, but it's coming across differently because he has more of a social network for it to be bouncing off of. It's a flaw, and it remains to be seen how it plays out, but it's one he already had in the mainline verse, but now it's just in a new environment. With the info he gets, he's able to do more tracking of the party animals, although it doesn't go well. He also never skips leg day. Legs like tree trunks. The sequence of him exploring the building though, it's got some really nice atmosphere.
Well, hello there. Finally, Batman, we meet. Now, unfortunately, we don't have much time to chat.
The reflection of him in black masks, well, mask, it's pretty cool. Some of the visuals in this issue are really stand out. Batman has to escape the building, and Alfred's there to offer him some help. And it's here we get the giant Batmobile, the Bat Dozer that was teased prior to release. This has also been something that has landed differently for different people. For some, it's cool, metal, lean into that extravagance, bigger, everything's big. For others, it was a bridge too far suspension-wise. Where did he get that? Where was he hiding it? How could he afford it? How are they not tracking it? All of those things. For some, it broke them. Also, just a quick side note. Based on how the Trinity has been established so far, time of recording with one issue for each and Batman having two, with Wonder Woman emerging from the island of hell and Superman wandering the world, is Bruce with his stable job still the richest of the Trinity? If so, that amuses me a little bit. This issue ends on the hint that there will be an expansion on Bruce and Selina's relationship, as she is yet to be seen in the present, and that was issue 2. Now, if one felt that issue 1 was too much, or cringe, or didn't have a balance between serious and more over-the-top, issue 2 will most likely not do anything to dissuade them of that impression. Issue 2 leans into all those things. It also does rely a bit more on having some prior knowledge of the lore and characters for certain of the moments to fully land, so that they can achieve maximum impact. I just feel like I need to use really 90s language talking about this. Let's get some words and end them with Zeds. However, this issue is also constructed in such a way that one could be leaping into Batman and still follow along. And like with Superman, so much of Batman's lore and iconography is has trickled out into the mainstream through various sources, adaptations, games, that much of it may be known even by those who aren't regular comic readers. So lots of these nods have a better chance of landing with characters like them. This issue has the same energy as the first, namely that it feels like it's having fun. It's embracing the concept and is going for it. And for those along for the ride, that can be a great time. For others who are less sold, less so. Some may still feel like it's too derivative. Others, on the flip side, may feel that it's too different, that these things should just been done with a new character. This book is really embracing being a comic, in that in certain aspects, it's not taking itself too seriously in terms of things like his tech and his bases and how he's utilizing them. It's leaning into that extraness. However, it has its own internal logic and it's sticking to it. It also is very serious in terms of how it's organizing its plot, how it's laying things out, how it's building up some of the tensions, how it's laying seeds for future events, how it's stabilizing and establishing character relationships. None of those elements are being treated like jokes, so it's not like the book is trying to treat itself like a joke, it's just going into it with more of a let's have fun atmosphere. So for much of this, it's just a case as to whether or not the tone, the things it's doing land. So for you, do they? I find this book fun. It has a kind of just go with it energy that I can see being particularly inviting for lapsed or newer readers. Potentially, mileage will vary. And I'm sure if you are one of those people who disagree, you'll tell me. However, for me, sneaking in moments like Batman AF, just getting it in there, it makes me smile, but that's also because of some of my awareness of the behind the scenes things going on. For others, peak cringe. So as always, all of these were just my thoughts, and now I want to hear yours. Are you enjoying this book? If so, why? If not, why not? Are you just not interested? Are you really intrigued as to where certain things go and what are you hoping to see? Share your thoughts down below. While you're down there, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking some time today to spend discussing comics with me. I always appreciate it, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.